Hi everyone, I'm Nettie Kaye. Welcome back to my studio. Today I'd like to offer you a place where you can step back from all the chaos that's going on. And I know it's all very important, but sometimes we need to step back and do something else in order for our minds to clear so that we can see things a little bit more clearly and objectively. And so instead of getting out every single color of paint in our paint box today, I'm going to simplify the color selection down to what's called a monochrome. Now this is an example of a monochrome painting. This is my great-grandfather, Papa Frank, and I've done him on a linen canvas, a very old traditional linen canvas. I love it. And this is going off to my son for his birthday. He's the one that wrote the theme song to our show. And thank you, Austin Williams, for that. And so I'm going to be using similar colors as to what I've got on this canvas. And we're going to be painting a horse. Isn't that going to be fun? Yeah, it's not a simple subject, but the coloration is going to be simple. Sometimes we get so caught up in the whole orchestration of the tone, the shape, and the color that it's hard to kind of not just get totally confused. Well, today I'd like to eliminate at least that whole color thing, and we're going to calm down and just really enjoy a beautiful painting. So I'm going to set this aside and I'll be right back and we'll get going. Okay. All right, you guys, I've got my photo of my horse, and I took this photo. It's almost straight on, but you can see just a little bit of the body off to the side, making sure that I have a light side and a dark side to the animal or anything that I paint. I want to have a light side and a dark side, especially when you're doing a monochrome, because if you don't have a light side and a dark side, it's not going to register much at all. So, and then I did some study sketches underneath this in some charcoal and worked out a few of the dimensions. And then I put on a layer of gesso. That's just kind of what we put on paintings or on canvases in order to prepare them for painting. I put a layer of gesso that had a little bit of a yellow tint to it. I just put a little bit of yellow acrylic paint into the gesso, and then I painted that on. Okay, painted that on, and then before it was dry, I took my end of my paintbrush and I went back in and I did a little bit of scratching into that paint and laid down where I think the features of the animal goes. Now, I did that for two purposes. One, to give me a little hint as to where things go, yes, but I also want to see if it will give me a little bit of texture as we move forward. So that's going to be interesting. So I think instead of doing another sketch over the top of this, which I could, but I think what I want to do is I want to get a large brush, and I'm going to show you what I scratched in here, okay? I'm going to get a large brush, and today we're going to be using, of course, the monochrome colors. And so the first thing I'm going to dip into is we're going to be using a little bit of, this is Gamblin Oil Transparent Orange, okay? And I'm going to put that on, thin down with a little bit of odorless thinner. This is just some terpenoid, all right? And I'm going to start up here at the top, and you can see it's got a little bit, I'm going to have to wipe off my brush just a little bit. I got into some of the darker color, and I don't really want too much of that dark. Hold on. So let's try to make sure it's not too contaminated. And I'm going to go back in again. We're going to try that one more time. It'll have a little bit of dark on it, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to get some terpenoid, and I'm going to grab some more of that transparent orange onto my brush, nice and thin. And then we're going to put this over the top like this. And I'm going to put a thin coat of the transparent orange over the top. Let's see if I can get some more of that thinner going. And we're going to put that over the top, and then hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit of that texture popping through in just a second. Yeah, okay, so big strokes, and there it is. I can see it. It's super neat. And so it looks a little bit like a carving into the canvas. And I think, you know, you could probably do this in several layers of acrylic. You could do it in acrylic, you could do it in oil as well. But where you create a texture underneath and then you paint over the top of it in layers. I'm kind of turning into a bit of a layer girl lately, to where I'm looking forward to doing collage and mixed media kind of things. It just gives such interest. And you know, when you get to be my age, you know, you just want to be entertained, okay? And so we entertain ourselves by adding all kinds of wonderful elements to our painting and challenges. So I'm seeing some of that come out. And then instead of just using just the brush, well, let's just one more little swipe here down here. I'll add just a little more paint down here. Now I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to rub that in a little bit so that you can kind of see it. I hope you can see that. It's really interesting. Very, very interesting. So I've got the lighter color underneath, and then I'm going to wipe out. I'm going to begin wiping out some of the highlights that I see, but I think first off I'll give you a little bit of a hint on where the drawing is on this. Oh, of course you can see that, yeah. Okay, I'm going to give you a little hint as to where the outside edges of this horse are. The outside of edges are, yes, and we'll see how far we can get. Okay, so I'm going to just be using the terpenoid or the thinner and mineral spirits, and now I'm going to come in with a little bit of burnt sienna along with that orange. And I'm going to have to put a little more orange out here in a second. But I'm going to begin by starting with the head, and I can see that right like this, and the head is at just a slight tilt right here. And I'm going to come down, here's where kind of that little boxy nose is, right here. And let's see, we'll put in some an indication of where the eyes are going to go. And then I'm going to go back and forth, making sure that I don't forget to look at my reference. Now, horses, you know, it takes just a lot of looking, everybody. Just remember, you're not just, you know, kind of coming over here and making it up. Well, that would be really hard with one of these critters. They're very complex, and you really need to kind of look and say, well, where does this angle go? Where does this angle go? And I've got his leg coming out here like this. So after I put these scratch marks on here, now I'm going in and I'm double checking everything that I've put down to make sure that it's right. And if it's not right, well, then I can correct it. Scratches are still going to be there, but it might make it for an interesting bit of, you know, just the story of how the painting has kind of come together. This is the back leg right here. And so I might put some little grass coming up here so that it doesn't look too weird. It's a very strange position. And I'm looking forward to getting out and taking more photos of animals here in the next little while when we can get out a little bit more. Okay, so here's the bottom part, and I'm just catching a little bit of the muscle as we go up, and here's the back, not the back leg, this is actually the front leg. This got me into trouble the first time I drew it because it was just kind of odd, and it looked kind of like I put the back leg in the front leg position, so I got to kind of correct that and make sure it doesn't look like it's broken. That would be good, yeah. Yeah, you don't want a broken leg horse. And here's a little hoof down here. And we'll just put a muscle, and then this is the back. There's a back leg that kind of comes out here, and then will come out somewhere over here. You don't see the whole thing, you know. You don't see all four legs just, you know, like you're drawing it like you're 5 years old. Things are behind other things. Here's the ear right here. Here's the other ear. We'll get that going. And once you get that carving in, you know, it's pretty fast because you already know where things are. There's part of the body there. And then I'm going to go in and do a little bit of, this part is kind of a little, almost a triangle, and then the top part of the body comes up like this. Now, one thing that I made note of is that the length of the head, well, let's see, I'm always making comparisons to how things are. So I'll measure the most obvious thing will be the length of the head, and then I'll measure it in comparison to other parts of the body, and hopefully it will give me some hints as to how wide to make certain things and how how things relate to one another. That's the whole thing, is how the angles relate to one another. Make that leg come out just a little bit back in here, and then it comes out down here like this. It's kind of crossing over a little bit. I might just put some grass. Yeah, I think some grass. I did carve a little bit of grass in here too. That's kind of fun. Okay, so now I kind of have basically a little bit about where things are. Now before it gets too dry, which it's not going to dry for a long time. In fact, tomorrow I could probably take some more highlights off with a rag and a little bit of thinner. So I'm going to take my rag right now, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to begin by taking a little bit of thinner, and I'm going to wipe out some of the lights that I see. And this is something that has been done for a couple hundred years, this little wipeout technique, and you know, it was really popular back in the day. You just started out with a wash of an umber color or a sienna color, and then you would just take out the highlights and get an instant dark light situation. And let's see if I got this muscle coming down to here, and then I have this leg. There's the light right there on the leg coming down, and then right in here. So you can see it begins to just emerge out of the canvas just by using a little bit of a rag or paper towel. Now the paper towels that I'm using, you guys, are Viva paper towels, and you'll hear me say this over and over, because if you use a really super cheap paper towel, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have little bits of paper towel in your painting, and it's really going to cause an issue. So you want to make sure you don't go cheap on the cheap paper towels, because they will leave nasty little things on your paint in your painting, and then you'll be picking them out, or they'll just end up there forever, you know. So you can see how that's going to begin to emerge out with that. Here's another little, and then I think I'll take out this white stripe in the nose, just so that when I do lay down some white paint, it's not going to compete. There's a little bit of a reflective light over here on the body, right there, coming out on this side. Now at this stage, I'd like to go back in, and I'm going to take a larger brush, and I'm going to take in some of the darks, and we're going to find the darks, but first I'm going to take a little bit of that burnt sienna, and I'm going to put a little bit of medium on it this time, and the medium I'm using is a gel medium called Neo Megelb. And so I know I just said that we weren't going to be using anything but terps, but that's that first part. And so now I'm going to find where I see the darkest darks. There's a dark little muscle structure right there. And then this part, I have to be careful that I don't make this so dark that it looks like the leg has come away from the body. That was one of my first mistakes when I painted this the first time I did it. I have a painting of this. Here's a little ankle down here. I have a painting of this that is a full color painting, and it's a lot of fun. I did a full color painting of Papa Frank too, and then I decided I would back up and do a monochrome study of it later. This foot is going to look a little bit weird, but oh well. There we go. Okay, now I've got a dark side of the leg right here. Here's the dark side, and we're going to come around with a nice big brush, and we're going to pull in the dark side of the leg, right like that. So you see how it all of a sudden becomes, it looks like it's got some three-dimensional shape already. And then I'm going to do this on the side of the face, right like this. Got a few little areas there, and a little bit here where that muscle. And if I accidentally misplace something and I put something in the wrong place, you know, it's easy to fix. All I have to do is get my rag out, and then I can fix it. It really helps to practice drawing as well, so that you know when you're looking at something that it's in relatively the right position. You know, it's if you don't practice your drawing, this is not as easy to do as it looks. But so try this. You can try this technique on something like a little still life. Sure, you can make it a little still life and do something like that. Now hopefully this is going to make sense. I'm also going to put a shadow that doesn't really exist in the photo. But you know what? It's your painting. You don't have to paint it exactly like the photo. In fact, we're going to go far from it. Make sure that your photographs are just your references. They're not the finished what I'm trying to achieve. You know, what am I trying to say? I'm saying make them more exaggerated than what you're seeing in your photos. Even if your photo is magnificent, paint it even better or even more intensely. You can do it. You're an artist. Okay, let's do it. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enhance this light area right here by creating a darker area. Now on this one, I'm going to actually take a little bit of our raw umber, and I'm going to enhance it just a little bit more. I'm going to put raw umber, burnt sienna, and a little bit of phthalo blue. I know it doesn't seem like it's that part of that harmonious stuff, but it works out really well this way. We need something super dark in order to make that light really pop out. So let's see if that works. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put this darker rendering of, and that's really into, you know, kind of a nice dark tonal value. And then I'm going to find where that belly moves around a little bit that way, and then I'll push that out. And I like to, let's see, we'll come up over the top of this, since it feels like it's like noon or something on this particular, the light is not totally over here, but it's a little bit right above. I think it was about 12:30 in the afternoon. Now my preference, if I have a choice, is to paint, or not to paint, but to photograph things in early morning or in late afternoon rather than in the middle of the day, because the light is more interesting when it's at an angle. And I love doing those photographs in the fall as well, because this, not only is the sun, you know, at an angle, it's at an angle. Yeah, so I'm going to take my rag now and I'm going to mush that in and kind of work it into the figure just a bit, so that it doesn't have a really hard line, not so much. I'm going to soften that up just a tiny bit like that. And then while I have that shadow color on my rag, I'm going to push that down over here a little bit and make this feel as though it's got a little bit of depth as well. And I'm going to make this lighter now on this side, because I want that to seem as though the sunlight is coming through. Now, I think at this stage I'm going to crack open my paint box, which is really cool. I have this purple paint box, and I keep in here, I keep all kinds of wonderful colors and paints, lots of tubes of paint. And so now I'm going to grab another color, and I hope this works. I'm going to grab a little bit of, this is like a cadmium yellow, all right, and it should be lighter than our background, I hope. Cadmium yellow and a little bit of white. And now I'm going to take that along with a little medium. And so where's my photo? Here it is. Now I'm going to pretend that this horse is coming out of the shadow. This is the dark side of the horse. So in order for this side to look dark, I'm going to create a lighter background right here, right into that shadow right there. And you can see how that feels as though there is sunlight emerging and coming through here. Let's find out what's happening here. I've got the nose, I've got here is where the sunlight is going to come through those and define a little area around the leg. Where else can I see it? And I have a little bit of sunlight. And you see how it begins to shape by me painting the negative space around the various different parts of the horse. So here we go. I'm going to keep doing this. Pretty exciting, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to come around here and I'm going to make it a little more. And I'll do some crisscross around here, and maybe we'll shoot some down at the bottom a little bit, come clean my brush off like that. And I do like this kind of a thing going on here. So let's take a little bit of our burnt sienna again with a little bit of raw umber, and let's take a tiny bit of alizarin crimson just to warm it up. Okay. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. And then I'm going to just kind of put some little fluffies right here with my, you can see I've got my big hardware brush. I'm just kind of pushing it around a little bit and creating this kind of sense of some grasses, a little bit of grasses. Let's go a little bit darker and grab some phthalo blue into that mix with phthalo blue and burnt sienna. And I'm going to come right up next to that little hoof and really darken it, really darken it, and darken it between those hoofs just a little bit, right like that. And I think I'm gonna define what's happening underneath there with that same color too. So that is really interesting, isn't it? Ooh, I like it. I like it. I like it. And we'll just, I'm realizing I've got some carved grass, so now without rinsing my brush, I'm very lightly touching that with this little hairy brush and creating this feeling as though that grass is going back into space because it's mixing with some of the other paint that's already on there, that beautiful light cadmium yellow with white. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. Yeah. Okay, now let's come over here and we're going to add just a little more of that as though there's something coming over from this side. So I'm going to use that, and we're just going to, you know, you just kind of go along and you think, oh, that looks good. I think I'll do that over here too. And I'll put this over here, and we'll just pretend there's a big old cow or something cast in the shadow right there. And I want the focus to kind of be right here, so I may not get this too dark. And then I'm going to go back in with our light yellow, and I'm going to put that yellow just kind of shining through just a little bit here and there. And I'll step back and look at it here in a little bit and make sure I'm not messing it up too much. I want to keep that nice and clean, so I'm going to rinse this brush out. I'm going to throw that in here. And now, what's happening with our hearse? Okay, we better get back to that. Oh, I do need a few more bits of paint, so I'm going to squeeze some more out. I'll be right back. All right, I got a few more colors laid out. I put out some cadmium orange, some Hansa yellow deep, and a little bit more of our transparent orange as well. Okay, so let's get back to work here. All right, back in here, and I think what I'd like to do to start with on this particular part, I'm going to put in a little bit of my medium, my gel medium, into that cadmium orange, which is a more opaque orange, of course, than our transparent orange. And I'm going to come in here where I see a little bit more of that orange color. It actually looks very much like our transparent orange. It's just, let's see if I can see if there's a difference. Well, it's very close. Our transparent orange can get seriously a little bit more in the red zone. Maybe. And then I can put that on as this layer, and then I want to put another layer right here. So I'm really heating that up. Okay, back to the transparent. I think I like the transparent orange better. And then I want to put some into the hair right there, a little bit alongside this nose. So it just kind of heats it up. And right here, especially right in here. So I'm going to make that nice and warm underneath. And that's our middle tone. It's not our light, but it's our middle tone. And let's go back in here, and I have a little more there in that. And we're going to add the lights to it on top of that. So, you know, all you have to do to make something plausible or believable is to put things in a middle tone, add a light and a dark, and you've got quite a bit of it all ready to go. So I'm just adding that kind of middle-ish warm tone right there and putting it in nice and loose, just like that. And we'll put, I'm going to put some under here. So here's our middle tone, and there's a little connective muscle right here. What am I looking at here? I've got the face, I've got the side of the face, and I think this comes out just a little bit further. Yeah, just like that. Pretty fast, pretty fast. So I'll put that up here. And I think I'll just, shoot, I should have just painted the whole animal with this color to start with, and then I would be okay. Now I can come back in at this stage with my rag and then take out some of the highlights again by doing this. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. So then I can get a little bit more of the muscle shape, and you take your time. I'm not going to take my time today. I'm just going to show you how it's done. And then I'll take a little light off here, a little light off here, and I can just keep morphing it this way and fusing those colors together, taking out some more highlights here and there like that. Okay. You know what I think I want as well? I want to take a little bit of that orange, that transparent orange, and fluff it up into here too. Doesn't that need that? Yes, it does. Should probably be using one of those little fluffy brushes. Yep. One of these guys. Okay. And just fluff that into there so it's not quite in your face kind of stuff. Let's take a little bit out of that orange down here too. That ties it together nicely. Got to think of the whole picture. I'm thinking about the entire picture all at once, almost. You know, I know you can't really do that, but I'm not doing it in little bits. I'm realizing I'm dipping into the wrong section here. Okay, no I'm not. There it is, okay. And so I'm gonna put that like that, heat that up and give it a little bit of that kind of grassiness. And maybe, just a little bit back in here. Yeah, that's nice, that's nice. Kind of ties together. I better bring a little bit of that sunlight. Oh yeah, let's try a little bit of that Hansa yellow. Hansa yellow has been sitting around for a little while. I haven't been painting in oil for a long time, and I've been missing it. Oh, I'm so excited to be here and be doing this kind of a thing. So the Hansa yellow is a beautiful, intense yellow, and so now I'm going to pull some of that Hansa yellow into the grass area. I think it needs a little medium though. It's getting a little bit stiff, a little bit stiff. You can thin it out with a little bit of linseed oil if your paint gets a little bit thick. You know, there's just all kinds of things. I'm kind of intrigued by those drips, so I'm going to leave those. Got a little bit of sunlight coming through there, a little bit. Yeah, all right. Okay, back to our horse. Oh, I keep deviating and forgetting about horsey. Yeah, okay. Now, the next bit, I'm going to wipe this big old fat brush off, and I'm going to take some of our almost white, and now we're going to put this star in the front of the horse's head. Sometimes it's hard to know what sequence to put things in, but I don't want this white to get contaminated with too much, so I'm going to put that, because it's such an important color, I'm going to put that down before I get too lost. And then I also have that same light color in, let's see, where am I? Oh, down on this foot on one side there, on the little hoof. And there's a little bit on, this is our leg right here. That leg has to have some white, especially on the side where the light's coming in, and then there's just this little indication of a foot here, but I think I'll put some grass in there and cover it up. Just cover it up, boy, oh boy. It's like putting the hands in the pockets when you just don't want to do the hands, you know. And now I'm going to come up here with some of our Hansa yellow. And I wish you could see this. I wish I could figure out how to set up more than one camera. That would be nice. I'm going to get our Hansa yellow, and we're going to make this nice and light where I kind of have taken out the lights, but I'm going to now add this in. I've caught that blue on the edge, which is just wonderful because it just softens it up a little bit. Hansa yellow and white, and then give that a little indication of the light hitting the side of the horse. And then we'll do the same over here as it comes around like this. Good. I'm going to also take some of the orange with a little bit of white, and we're going to find this muscle right there and find it where it comes out here and then bottom of the hoof. That hoof's kind of messed up, so I'm going to definitely need to put some grass there. Oh boy. Yep. And then we'll get this part down here and make that nice, and I've got to find that highlight right here on the leg there. Maybe just a little bit lighter. Yeah. You know, you can make it lighter than it is and darker than it is in the photo, and make it, just enhance it just a little bit. So I'm going to enhance this part too. Grab just a little bit of that white and see if I can, yeah, that's it. So now I'll make sure that that muscle gets seen right here. Grab a little bit of the white and bring out the lights just a little bit. And this hoof is bothering me here, so I'm going to put a little bit of white there too. Just a little bit. Yeah, we're just like, okay. And we'll grass that up a little bit too. All right. Well, you get the idea. All right. Now we'll come back up here onto the face. I'm going to get into some of this transparent orange again. And now I'll come across here where that hair is, and we'll begin filling this in with a little bit of the transparent orange again. Transparent orange is one of my most important colors, especially when I'm doing dogs, you know. A lot of dogs need transparent orange. And I'm going to take our dark mixture, our raw sienna, raw umber mixture with a little bit of that burnt sienna. And we're going to come in and establish those nostrils right here, like that. And I want to come back in here a little bit and give this dark another go. Ooh, that's a little too dark. And then I'll find the edge of the nostrils. I've got a huge brush here. I've got to watch out. I'm going to get that. And then I'll find the eyes. Little kind of go straight over and then down a little bit like that. I'll mess with them. I'm not getting into too much detail right now. And I don't want to get into a lot of detail. I want to kind of keep this one loose if I possibly can. Okay, now get that little muscle in. So this is how I do it. I'm just going to continue messing with this thing a little bit. How's our time? Oh, we're still good. Okay. And then I'm going to play around with it a little bit. I'm going to lighten this area up again right there. Where's my new brush? Oh, here's a new brush. Okay. And now I'm going to come back in over on this side. I want to somehow connect the side of the horse. We'll see how it's really, really bright here, and then it's really dark here. So I want to kind of connect up the side with something in between. And so I'm coming in with my Hansa yellow, and I'm going to connect this up a little bit and put it together. Now, if you're doing this in acrylic and you're trying to blend this, it's just not going to work because the paint should already be dry. And so that makes it a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to take that Hansa yellow. It's going to almost turn into a green because we've got that blue that kind of goes into that dark color. And we'll just keep doing that. Okay, good. I think those drips, if there's a lot of drips, then it makes sense to keep them because it's fun. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do next to just kind of enhance it a little bit. I'm going to take my smaller brush now. I don't know what this is. It's about a number 8 or something like that. And it's just a old worn out brush. And now I'm going to come in with some of our burnt sienna and our raw umber. Just a nice dark. And now I'm going to do a little bit of a redraw on some of the spots. Emphasizing, I'm not drawing a line around everything, but I want to kind of find what's important and kind of restate it just a little bit in 2-inch marks here and there. And now I'm going to find the edge of this nose a little bit, and we'll get a little bit more kind of a detail thing going on here, a little bit. I'm finding where all these different folds are one more time, and I want to kind of, again, I don't want to outline it, but I do want to kind of give it a little bit more of a definition. Okay, I'm just giving it a little more definition. Down here, restating, we use that word restating. That just means an opportunity to make corrections and And it's an important part of the art, especially if you're doing things like portraits and it has to look like them, you know. So you want to restate quite often. One of the teachers that I studied under, Daniel Green, would sit down, and each time he would do a sitting with somebody, and there might be upwards to 10 sittings on any portrait, he would redraw every time. And he would sit down and look at the face as though he had never seen it before and go over it and redraw the whole thing. And I thought that was interesting, that even when you're super professional, you do this. You restate it. Well, I'm restating it right in the middle of the painting. So that way we get a chance to kind of make it interesting. And it's a stylistic move. Okay. Yeah. There we go. There's a little muscle. I'm going to have to double check when I'll stand back, and if something looks broken, I'll fix it. So then we have this leg coming out here. And let's think about what's happening with that little tummy right there and how it comes in. Let's see, right here, kind of comes around. So I'm just making this kind of an interesting little thing. This thing is kind of an interesting style move. We'll see what happens in the end. Okay, so let's get the eyes a little more defined. I'm not putting the little pupils in and the, you know, all the stuff. No, no. This is not that kind of a painting. It's not a fussy painting. Yeah, I do fussy paintings too sometimes, you know. Probably a lot more fussy paintings than I do loose ones, but the older I get, the more I want to do this kind of work, because it's not as hard on your eyes, number one. And we'll get nice light, some light, a little bit of a glow happening right like this. Good. All right, I'm almost happy with the basic premise of this painting, and I hope you're enjoying this. Oh my goodness, isn't that fun? Ooh, I really do like it. I like it. All right, and a little bit more on the ear. Now I'm going to stand back, and I'm going to give this a little look, and I'll be right back, and we'll see what else needs to be done. Yeah. Okay, I've just taken a look at it, and I'm realizing we need just a little bit more emphasis right here in the darkness of the leg, right there, to give that some nice shape, and a little bit of the muscle. You got to stand back, everybody, every once in a while. You just don't know what it really looks like until you do. And if you don't ever stand back, you can really embarrass yourself sometime. Okay, this guy's missing an ankle. Hello. He's missing an ankle. So let's get his ankle going out here so he doesn't look like he's fallen down and lost something. And then the muscle right here is a little bit dark there. So I just go through and I will get this whole thing going up and down, and I'll kind of decide how much detail I want as I go. I can come up with this painting, and I can actually make this as, I can turn this into photorealism at some point if I wanted to. Yeah, we'll start the painting out like this and then work it up to whatever level of detail that you want. Yeah, it's your painting. Yeah. Now, I think for the sake of this poor little thing, he needs a little bit of a tail, so I'm going to put in just a tiny indication of a tail in the back as the sun just kind of catches it like this. Maybe a little more of that orange. Oh yeah. I think I flung that orange all the way over here. There it is. So a little more of that kind of orangish, not too bright, but that it turned into yellow. Okay. Well, I'll find some really good orange, maybe some burnt sienna and then some orange. And you can do it a little bit in layers if you want, like let it dry. Actually, this kind of painting I like to do all in one setting if possible. All right, so Now I'm going to take a few moments and I'll probably mess around with this just a little bit more. And I'll show you how it turns out in the end. Meanwhile, you guys, make sure you go check out my Etsy site at nettiekstudio.etsy.com. And you'll find a few different paintings. There may be a rendition of this painting available on that site as well. That's where I sell my paintings, and that's how we pay for food here at the studio. Yeah, what a concept. Anyway, but I'm so glad that you joined me today, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I do hope you will take some time to relax and stand back and take a deep breath so that you can look at things objectively. Stand back from your painting, stand back from life, stand back from the TV. Turn that thing off every once in a while and crack out your paintbrushes. Yeah. I'll see you again next time when we'll be painting something else. And I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. All right, love you guys. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye for now.